on with Ukraine and Russia? We don't know. All we know is what we're telling you is going on. And though we at the media have proven to be 100% untrustworthy on everything we report on, you can trust us on this one, right? Let's find out. First, what are us trustworthy people at the media funded by Deep State telling you is going on? Putin and Russia are bad and are unjustly invading Ukraine. And we also tell you the Ukrainian people are the good guys, the underdogs, courageously taking up arms to fight the evil Russians in the streets. Is this true? I don't know, but what we do know is that it's what we report as true. Here's Miss Ukraine posing for a picture ready to fight, holding what appears to be a real gun. And it's been confirmed she's holding an airsoft gun. But the photo's a convincing way of supporting the narrative, isn't it? And here's these alleged Ukrainians ready to fight, also not with real guns, but it's a convincing picture for us at the media to use. We also know for sure that we portray the Ukrainian president as a brave man that you can get behind. A man in charge of the free democracy of Ukraine, whose life is on the line, being actively hunted by the Russians. Yet he refuses to leave the country because he wants to stand with his people and fight. How could you not fall in love with him and not support the U.S. sending troops to Ukraine to help this brave, innocent leader and his people? Right? Absolutely. And here's what Tulsi Gabbard had to say.
Now here's something you are not going to hear on the mainstream media. What you do hear is warmongers arguing that we must protect Ukraine because it is a quote-unquote democracy. But they're lying. Ukraine isn't actually a democracy. For example, to hold on to power, Ukraine's president shut down the 3 TV stations that were openly criticizing him and his policies, imprisoned the head of the opposition political party that had come in second place in their elections, and went and arrested and jailed that party's leaders. This is exactly what Putin has been accused of doing. But Ukraine did this all with the support of the United States.
Well, she's proven to be uncorruptible, so we'll put zero weight into what she has to say. This just in! As the radical left media is trying to get your support in sending troops over to Ukraine to help them and their armed citizens secure their national border, Aaron McIntyre points out, going to be awkward when the war in Ukraine is over and the left has to go back to being against nationalism, borders, and an armed citizenry. Indeed, it will be awkward, but we'll ignore that bridge once we're crossing it. Again, are we saying we know Russia isn't bad and Ukraine isn't innocent? No! We're just saying that what we know is that we want you to think Russia is bad and Ukraine is innocent and Ukraine needs help from our military. But why would we be motivated to feed you propaganda about Russia and Ukraine that isn't true? We wouldn't have any motive. We're just honest journalists. In other news, Unwoke Narrative reports the following. In times of turbulence, pro-war sentiments are lobbied by defense contractors who need war to maximize profits. They also report on a headline from the Washington Post. Biden must show that the U.S. stands ready to support Ukraine, militarily if necessary. What the article didn't mention is that it was authored by Michael Vickers, a member of the board of directors of Europe's largest defense contractor. Pretty cool, right? And what's this mean? We don't know. All we know is that we didn't want you to know that he's a major defense contractor who profits from war. That's why we didn't disclose it in the article. But one thing we do know is that if you don't go along with our Russia-Ukraine narrative, just like all our other narratives, we'll try to discredit you and smear your name. How? You're a Putin-Russian sympathizer. It could just be like how, if you haven't gone along with our other narratives for the past couple of years, we'll predictably smear you by labeling you things like racist, misogynistic, transphobic, anti-vaxxer, and or science denier. Same pattern of intimidating you with a shameful smear if you don't go along with our narrative. We don't do anything new. We just use new terms for our same old tricks. So, don't be a Putin-Russian sympathizer. It's great. We can't believe it still works. All we have to do is change the word, but keep doing the same thing. But when there's any question if we're reporting the actual news or just propaganda, you can look to see if trustworthy superheroes like Hillary Clinton and George Soros are saying the same thing as us. And they are. Here's what George Soros, who seems to be funding the destruction of our democracy, tweeted. I have witnessed Ukraine transform from a collapsing part of the Soviet Union to a liberal democracy and an open society. It has faced countless acts of Russian aggression, but it has persisted. Brave Ukrainians are now on the front line, risking their lives in an onslaught that reminds me of the siege of Budapest in 1944 and the siege of Sarajevo in 1903. He goes on. Putin's actions are a direct attack on the sovereignty of all states that were once in the Soviet Union and beyond. Russia is in clear violation of the United Nations Charter and should be held accountable. It is important that both the transatlantic alliance, the United States, Canada, the European Union, and the United Kingdom, but also other nations, do whatever is in their power to support Ukraine in its time of existential threat. Soros says we should go to war, so we say we should go to war, so you'll think we should go to war. Why is Soros spending over $48 million funding media organizations? What a dumb headline that we're not going to go into. Hey, when are they going to start censoring alternative ideas on the Ukraine-Russian situation? I mean, it's just promoting dangerous ideas, right?
Yeah, the deep state is scheduled to start censoring that next week.
Oh, good. I can't wait. And here's what Hillary Clinton, who's definitely not a criminal, had to say about it. I am praying for the people of Ukraine. I'm pretty sure she doesn't believe in God. The world will hold Russia and Putin accountable for the human suffering and destruction this unjustified and unprovoked war will bring. See, Hillary wants you to believe our narrative as well, and we can trust her, so you can trust us. And no, we're not going to report on how there's now strong evidence that Clinton-linked operatives spied on President Trump's servers during the campaign and while he was in office, because that would be espionage and a felony. So it's better to just trust Hillary, okay? This just in! Regardless of whatever is actually going on with Russia and Ukraine, my heart goes out to the innocent people whose lives are being impacted by war. And I have the utmost respect for SaveOurAllies.org, who are currently operating rescue missions to courageously extract people out of Ukraine. And in the same news, some people who humbly don't know what's really going on with Ukraine-Russia look at what we in the media tell them, and they say, even though I don't know what's true, I can look at what the media tells me and therefore at least know what's not true. And those people are just practicing the violent act of critical thinking, and we do not approve. In conclusion to our Ukraine-Russia coverage, here's what military veteran and truth seeker Alec Zeck has to say about it. Don't blindly accept what the media says. Don't blindly dismiss what the media says. Don't blindly accept what alternative platforms and personalities say. Don't blindly dismiss what alternative platforms and personalities say. Stop blindly accepting anything. Stop blindly dismissing. Is that logic? What a bunch of bullshit. Instead of thinking critically, we suggest that you reactively be controlled by fear into believing what we tell you to think. Because war is scary, and when you're scared, you instinctively want to cling to anything for a sense of certainty and stability. And that makes it very tempting to just trust us untrustworthy media as a way of relieving your fears about war as you cling to what we say for a sense of stability and certainty. And keep doing it. We appreciate it. Good night.